I say, man, god damn, bruh. How can one family have so many secrets? If you're watching the video on YouTube, please subscribe to the page. If you're watching on Facebook, please follow the page and come back for more Lovecraft spoiler chats. Please, in the comment section, drop a comment. Let us know what blew your mind about this week's episode. I have so many, and let's go ahead and start listing down the things that just blew me clean away. First and foremost, out the clear blue sky, Montrose say, yeah, Uncle George might be Daddy George, boy. Like, he might be your actual father. How? Like, how was this not hinted at? Like, how did we not know this before this? I just don't understand how can a family have so many secrets and so many things that they keep and keep them so well. That to me was mind-blowing. Big moment in the story. Again, I never read the book, don't know a whole lot about it prior knowledge, but when I hear that, I'm like, what else do we not know? I just watched the preview for next week's episode. He say, I'm sorry for this one last secret. One last one? Is you sure? Is you sure it's one last one? Because it could be a lot more with the way y'all operate, man. People don't be knowing stuff. Another huge moment. Hippolyta returns, just walks in the door like everything is fine, and then when they let her speak, like she just set everybody straight. I enjoyed that a whole bunch because I had been wondering, is it multiverse? Is it past, present, future type stuff? Is it parallel, alternate world theory type stuff? Come to find out, Hippolyta just walked in and just set everybody straight instantaneously. It was great to see. It was great to get so much clarification in such a short amount of time. We didn't need a ton of exposition. They just came in and hit you with it. Boom, Earth 504. There, 200 years. I know all kind of stuff. Don't talk to me. Like, just blowing people out the water. And what I found very funny about that scene is that Mancho said, like, you talking crazy. Boy, you just said that your brother is the father or possible father of your own son. You just, in the last episode, conjure up an eyeball monster thingy to protect your son. But she crazy though. I say the whole damn show is crazy. Everything is crazy. But I must say, I'm very much enjoying it. Especially with the stuff that happened in this episode. Let's keep it moving. Now, we jump back. I'm jumping right back into 1921 Tulsa. Now, after watching the Watchmen series that was massively done, loved every second of that show, been meaning to rewatch it, probably will when I get some downtime and then like double back around and review it. But loved every minute of that show, and I thought from watching that opening with the Tulsa riots in that show, I thought there's no way that I'll see this again and it'd be harder to watch. But this show made it 10 times harder to watch because they gave you angles that wasn't just random violence, but they give you a little bit of a personal connection to the victims in every different aspect of the show. And I'm just like, oh man, 3 or 4 different fronts that they hit you with. That's like, man, this is personal connections for the characters that we love now. So it's really hard hitting, and even harder than what we saw in Watchmen. Watchmen was appalling to start a show that way, and then it opened up a lot of eyes to the people in the national public, like, oh, they never taught us this in school. First of all, I've been teaching 12 years. I've taught this before. I know I have, because I remember it. Just because you don't remember it don't mean I didn't teach you. That just means you wasn't paying attention. But anyway, back in Tulsa, you get more of rough tick. And I say rough tick because I also watch other reviewers or other people break down the show because they get paid to do this and they have time to sit down and Google search all the different things that pop up in the show, and they can cross-reference, and when they speak they seem real educated and real knowledgeable. And I've heard a few people that have a distaste for Atticus' character because they say, oh, he's hard to cheer for because of how negative his reaction was to his father coming out. To that I say, please stop, because if we doing things realistically, a 1950s era black man finds out his father has been secretly gay his whole life, then you ain't gonna get a good reaction. Tick's reaction is gonna be the best. Probably. It could be way worse as far as reactions go. But I bring that up to say that we get more of angry Tick in 1921. And I want to say this. If Montrose's goal was to raise a son that was a hard man, boy did he succeed. Because Tick is a hard ass man, bruh. I don't know if it's the war that did this to him, I don't know if it's just him being who he is as far as like that rough upbringing that Montrose gave him, but I have to say the dude is relentless. Like, you are at the same site, Atticus is at the same site where your father experienced a friend get murdered in front of him. He is in the process of, one, being under the influence of alcohol, and two, reliving the trauma of watching someone get killed. Like, he's reliving that in the moment. And Atticus is like, I don't give a damn. We got a mission. Like, we got a goal to achieve. I'm like, bruh, I understand that there's a goal to achieve, but let your father process, dude. And he like, nah, I ain't having that. Like, nah, let's get to business. And I say success, Montrose. Like, you wanted him to be a hard man. He's a hard man, bro. He's ready to get things done. And speaking to Montrose and the stuff that he's reliving, I must say, again, maybe I'm not paying close attention. Maybe I'm not a critical viewer like I think that I am. But Montrose's trauma that he lived through in life up to this point has been undersold. Until this episode, to me, I just thought he was an alcoholic who was drunk and angry. And we've learned in this episode is much more than just being an angry alcoholic. Like, he's abused as a kid by Lala from Black Lightning. I love seeing that dude in this because he was terrible in that, and he's a terrible person in this. Loved it. He was ridiculed for having any kind of like emotional feelings or like being quote unquote soft. Like, he was ridiculed from the jump, so he'd been hiding and repressing from the jump. There's so much that went on, and again, going through the whole Tulsa riots of just the PTSD of seeing people killed in front of you, seeing a family, two houses that family full of people get burned alive, and you survive that. Like, he had so much that he was dealing with, and I just don't feel like that was really well represented up until this episode. Now, in this episode, portrayed great. Michael K. Williams, great. The child actors and all the other people involved, like portraying the trauma, great. But the show as a whole never really showed me, or maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was as far as viewing and picking up details, but I never thought Montrose had been through enough to warrant the harsh upbringing that he gave to Tick. The thing that I like most about seeing the trauma from Montrose is that it reinforces the idea that I always have, that hurt people. Like, Montrose had been through so much and had never received any kind of healing for it, therapy for it, anything for it. And now he's raising a son and basically putting him through that same unnecessary trauma again and again. Hurt people. Now, I mentioned Watchmen and Watchmen, and they portrayed the Tulsa riots. And up until this point, as I'm breaking things down and talking about them, the riot really hadn't started yet. But once the riots actually start and they start shooting at Letty and she gets into the house and things start happening, there's an audio clip that plays. And again, there are more skilled people with more time that take the time and look up these audio clips. I didn't look up this week's audio clip. Maybe in the future I'll do that if I have more time. But I like to get these out pretty quick. And as I'm looking at this clip, I'm like, this clip is timed perfectly. And the scenes that are playing while the clip is playing, man, I feel bad. Like, I wanted to cry almost, man. So before great-great-grandmother got the book of names, she started praying and she recited some lines from the Bible. And I was like, whew, these lines is right on time. Then being delivered to Letty is like, bam, Letty is the only character that like goes to church and prays or like has any kind of faith in God. So it's like well-timed lines, character in the right scene. This hits real hard. Then she agrees to her fate of dying by fire. I thought, if you smart, hey baby, shoot me in the head. I don't want to burn. But she sat there and prayed until she burned. Oh, Lord Jesus. I couldn't have done it. I'd have said, hey, we're going to change this just a little bit. You're going to pop me in the head, man. And I'm going to go out because I can't sit here and catch on fire. Then at the same time, you got Tick becoming the stranger with the baseball bat who came out of nowhere. And it's like, okay, Which rules are we going by here? Are we going by Back to the Future rules? Are we going by Terminator rules? Are we going by Avengers Endgame time travel rules? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. I don't care. I just know that the scene came together very, very well. Everything seems appropriate now, even all the way going back to the dream. And again, that question had been answered for me. That something that I didn't put in other episodes that I did of my little spoiler talks. But that original opening scene dream didn't make sense. Now with all the details that they've given us, it's come 100% full circle, except for the Cthulhu monster, which there's another episode, so maybe we might get some reference to that. So much of that scene just made sense. And again, the time travel rules, I don't care what kind of rules are we following. I just know it all came together very, very well. Witnessing everything was very, very sad. Again, watching the bombs get dropped from the planes. You know, we saw it in Watchmen. We seen it again here as Letty was walking through the fire. It's like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy that this is all actual factual stuff that occurred in U.S. history, and so much of our United States population has no idea as to what they're either watching on the screen, or what their ancestors did, or what their ancestors were victims of. I'm a history teacher, so I appreciate all the time that they put alternative histories or modified histories in shows. But man, this one was very hard to watch, and if I have to see another show or movie redo the Tulsa riots, I don't know if I can, like, without crying, because Watchmen was jarring. First scene of the whole show. This, more of a tearjerker, just because, man, like, we had to watch a woman pray until she burned alive. We had to watch Tick protect his father and uncle, or father and mother, like, in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, we had to watch him do that. Montrose in the window, just like recounting all the lives that he know of that were being lost at that time. It's just a lot to take in. It was a much more emotional scene than what I saw in Watchmen, and I think that if I had to see anything that was more emotional than this, may not make it through that. So ending this week's episode, you have Hippolyta powering the machine on the other side of the portal with those inserts that she got. Cool stuff. Her hair turns blue. She pushes it to the limit. Everybody makes it out. There was never any doubt. The only knock I have on the episode is that, like, they did the slow motion walk through the fire thing with Letty. I was like, yo, we all know she's making it. Like, so let's get to it. But besides that, I was very much enthralled with this episode. I loved every second of it. Besides those last 5 that she was walking through that slow motion fire, I wanted them to speed that up and get that done. But besides that, great episode this week. Penultimate episode, setting things up for the ultimate climax of a finale next week. Please come back, check out your boys' videos as I break things down and talk about things. And again, please leave a comment. What blew your mind the most this week? That's kind of how I approach these, because it's a mind-blowing type show. Glad I stuck around through it. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. If you're watching on Facebook, follow. Come back and see your boy. Enjoy yourself. Guard your heart. And I'll be here waiting.